Hi, welcome to your weekly reading, which is going to be extremely different in format this week. I have no idea why, it's just what came to me, so we're going with it. I'm doing this a little earlier this week because last week I was extremely tardy due to numerous factors in my life that kept me very busy and in a completely unpredictable place in terms of my energies and my focus and my free time. Fortunately, as you may have gathered from last week's reading, if you saw it, that's gone. So I have all the time in the world. That does not mean I'm going to make it really long, just for your reassurance, but just so that we're getting this right, let me see, what the heck is 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st, okay, so the week of the 21st of September through the 28th of September is what we're looking at approximately. That will see us moving into Libra season, so happy early birthday to the Librans watching, or people with Libra heavily featured in their astral chart. You can't really go wrong when your underlying energy is the card of Libra, which is exactly what we got. So thank you for welcoming us in, Libra. And of course, Libra is all about balance and selflessness and generosity and kindness and openness, free-flowing, accepting. So something to look forward to. And I will not be speaking on any other astrology of this time because, to be perfectly honest with you, the transits that we are facing are mostly squares, and these are all challenges. But when we get too deep into the analysis of challenges outside of our personal aspects in our chart, it can become a little bit daunting to just constantly be restricting oneself, right? So I have decided that I will focus on major transits when it comes to astrology, things that are edifying and that really do give us a good sense of what we're moving into. But beyond that, I think lunar cycles are really important. Today is the new moon in Virgo. Intentions to be set, you still have time. If you're seeing this a few days after the 17th, that's totally fine. Anything that we set in motion around the new moon, but after the new moon, essentially is about intentionality and will inform the lunar cycle of the 28 days ahead of us. So, all of that is good stuff. Now, to let you know how I decided to approach this week's reading, I went by element. So, because we're still in Earth under Virgo, I pulled Sacred Destiny Oracle cards for Earth, for Air, which is Libra coming up, or the other air signs, Water, and Fire. And those cards sort of set a overtone to the energies. Then I pulled Osho Zen cards for the psychological, spiritual clarifiers on those energies. And then I pulled 6 cards from our regular Rider-Waite Tarot, which give us more of a grounded 3D experience of the energies. I did also pull, well, I was only planning on pulling 1 Spirit Animal Oracle card, but 2 came out. And I'm going to rely on reading from the Oracle book for this, and also the Osho Zen, because I think that there are special messages in there for us that we need to pay attention to. So let's start with our first spirit animal oracle card, Rabbit Spirit, number 49. Now is a lucky time. Get a good look at that, because I'm not holding it up and reading this time, because it's too hard for me anyway. Let's see. A sunny meadow calls, and Rabbit Spirit appears to lead you out of your dark warren and into the light so that you can participate in a fertile, beautiful experience. It may seem safe below ground, but the magic happens when you come out and take the risk of being vulnerable and co-creating something new. You are being invited into a new life that you have no experience with, but have no fear. Today is also a time to be fruitful and productive as you enjoy Rabbit Spirit's sunny and prolific energy. At this time, whatever you intend to bring to life will find fertile ground. There are no mistakes, really, when you are co-creating with Spirit. That's meant to be one sentence. Sorry about that. I shall start again. There are no mistakes, really, when you are co-creating with Spirit, so let new ideas spring to the surface, knowing that now is a lucky time of tremendous possibility. And in unison with that sentiment, we got number 59, Starfish Spirit. Open to infinite possibility. So two very beautiful, positive energies for us there. And what does Starfish Spirit have to say? Stretched out on the beach, the starfish opens fully to the rays of the sun, to the power of potential. As you look out toward the horizon, do you open up to infinite possibility? Spirit is the source of opportunities beyond your wildest imagination and ensures endless possibilities are available. At this time, Starfish Spirit urges you to stretch past the limits of your everyday perception and comfort zone to dream of bigger things and imagine with even greater hope and faith, for miraculous potential is shining down on you. Feel it, bask in it, and open yourself to be filled with inspiration. This is a very fortunate sign that Starfish Spirit has come to remind you of your infinite potential. And I think that what I'm going to take the liberty of interpreting from those two cards is, sometimes we get thrown and we focus on one path, and then as a result of being so focused on that, we lose sight of the other infinite resources of potentiality that we have within us. And when we become aware of that imbalance, usually as a result of a tower moment or something that radically shifts our perspective, suddenly we become conscious of all that we've been missing out on, all the potential for beauty that exists in our lives. And creativity is one of those generally untapped resources when we tend to focus on pentacle-oriented materialistic thinking, when we're very focused on, the straight and narrow of like, how do I get from A to B? That's what I have to do in order to survive. We might put like golden bows on those things so that they seem, maybe if we have more money, they're more luxuriant. Maybe if we have more sociability in our lives, we temper that slightly. But at the same time, pentacles without the magic of the other realms are just very bland and have no value. So that's the message that I am expressing. So inspiration is a strong thread that will allow us to forge magically into new possibilities at this time. In terms of the Sacred Destiny Oracle cards, I'm not reading from the book, but so we're going to start with Earth, and we're going to look at those energies and see what that, I have no idea what I'm doing right now, but we're going to see how it works. we got two cards, freedom and fulfillment. And again, what is Earth? Earth is pentacles, right? So, as we were just talking about, being trapped or enslaved to materialism, this focus on survival, it puts us in fight or flight mode. It keeps us very limited because, as you may know, when the physical body goes into fight or flight mode as a result of the mental strife, physiologically we actually change. Our breathing changes, our physical appearance even changes, down to the pupils and, our pores and all kinds of different evolutionary manifestations that we don't really like to focus on too much, because we don't really like to think of ourselves in that primal sense. But focusing too much on materialism keeps you perpetually in that state of survivalism. It doesn't matter whether you are a billionaire or a pauper. You can't experience anything beyond that when that is your drive. That's why you can see how perverse our world is, that we pedestal and give so much of a voice to people who have money. It's like they're the least equipped to help humanity to evolve in a truly fulfilling manner. So, these are the great ironies of the dark forces that have corrupted the human spirit, and that we are in a revolutionary breakthrough against at this time and for the upcoming months ahead. Yeah. So freedom and fulfillment, when you move beyond that survivalism, you are faced with the awareness of those two things and how interwoven they truly are. You cannot be fulfilled without freedom, right? And freedom is letting go of attachment to how we define ourselves, to our linear pursuits. If anything is to be learned from astrology, it's that, the energies are authentic, but how they manifest in our individual lives is going to come down to how much of what we are in flow with those energies, right? When we resist, we experience the squares and the hard angles in an unpleasant manner. That's simply the truth, there's no two ways about it. And in letting go of our attachments to ideas and preconceived notions, suddenly we see all the potentiality. And there's no coincidence to the fact that this here is represented in this circle, the cyclical manner of the lunar cycle, the cycle of nature. This is the material manifestation of the lunar and solar cycles, right? What do we get out of that from the Osho perspective in terms of our Zen flow? We get this card again. We've had it 3 times in the last 3 readings, so obviously we need to pay more attention to that, which is why I'm going to read from the book. hopefully there's some special messages in there that will give us a little bit more clarity on that, if I can even find it. I made little bookmarks here with other tarot cards, so... Okay, here we go. Let's read this. I'm pretty sure we read this already, but I think it's a great reminder considering the energy shifts that we're going through. The veil of illusion, or Maya, that has been keeping you from perceiving reality as it really is starting to burn away. Interesting, when you consider the smoke and everything that's been trying to block. You know, these are all intentional, like, sabotage operations from the dark forces. Trust me, they really are. The fire is not the heated fire of passion, but the cool flame of awareness. As it burns the veil, the face of a very delicate and childlike Buddha becomes visible. Let's look at that card just so that you have a visualization of that. The awareness that is growing in you now is not the result of any conscious doing, nor do you need to struggle to make something happen. Any sense you might have had that you've been groping in the dark is dissolving now. Why am I showing myself instead of the card? I don't know. Maybe that's me coming out. Or will be dissolving soon. Let yourself settle and remember that deep inside you are just a witness, eternally silent, aware, and unchanged. A channel is now opening from the circumference of activity to that centering of witnessing. It will help you to become detached, and a new awareness will lift the veil from your eyes. Mind can never be intelligent. Only no mind is intelligent. Only no mind is original and radical. Only no mind is revolutionary, revolution in action. The mind gives you a sort of stupor. Burdened by the memories of the past, burdened by the projections of the future, you go on living at minimum. You don't live at the maximum. Your flame remains very dim. Once you start dropping thoughts, the dust that you have collected in the past, the flame arises, clean, clear, alive, and young. Your whole life becomes a flame, and a flame without any smoke. That is what awareness is. And awareness in that context exists from the perspective of not being attached to those pentacles, not defining yourself by this very linear, rigid structure of expectation defined by the stories that you were told from the day you were born about how society works and how you have to conform with that in order to survive. It's all bullshit. You are an eternal being. It's like, think of it, if you want to even take the spirituality out of it and look at it as a holographic matrix-like projection, that we are all just, in some giant central database, like just projections of infinite possibilities. It's like, so what? Like in a video game, you die, game over, you start again, It's really like that. But when you inject spirituality into it and aspiration to the beauty of transcendentalism, to elevate the resonance, the frequency of Gaia, Earth, and the universe, there's just a sense of infinite freedom and fulfillment, no matter what happens. So in the earthly realm, how does this manifest for us right now? We get the Five of Pentacles reversed, so we step out of that poverty consciousness. I mean, you can't make this shit up. Those are pentacles. This is the poverty consciousness in the material world card. Upside down. With a tower. These are all those false constructs that cannot be contained. They have to explode, and sometimes if we have attached ourselves, as I did recently, to how much money am I gonna get? How will I survive? I want to be better. I want to do better. I want to, but it's like, yeah, I do. And I'm doing that. But if I'm seeing it through the lens of what, the people that came before me taught me, because they were in turn told corrupt, stupid stories about their limitations, then a tower is all that can, destroy that construct. And it will be uncomfortable. That's a square for you, in astrology. So I hope all of this is making sense and is useful. I'm actually kind of liking this way of doing the reading, so I hope you do too. Let me know. I'm not here for validation, but for the very few views that I get, it would be kind of nice if you could at least like the video and maybe leave a comment, because I do like to get feedback, and I would like to build some element of, live community. Again, you don't have to, but it would be nice to hear from you. It has nothing to do with algorithms. I could not give a flying fuck as to whether or not my videos are appearing in any search engine. In fact, the more under the radar I stay, the happier I seem to be at present. And as long as Mars is in retrograde, I think that's safe for all of us, right? In terms of our air energy, so as we're moving into Libra season, there's one catalyst. We get courage. Now, in terms of our air energy, what courage is speaking to is not, well, because we go in logical flow, because of course the zodiac is a cycle, so we move out of that energy with that tower and with the notion of freedom, fulfillment, and awareness, and then we move into courage, which is with those tools, then we step out and we actually create, right? In authenticity. That's the energy of air in terms of, what we accomplish through air energy is authenticity. So, Osho gives us the creativity card. And again, I am going to read from the oracle in order to make sure that we're getting the fullness of those messages. So here goes. I'm contradicting myself and putting the card up again because frankly I don't like seeing myself out the corner of my eye reading. So here, I probably will keep moving the card because apparently it's really hard for me to read and hold still. So here we go. From the alchemy of fire and water below to the divine light entering from above, the figure in this card is literally possessed by the creative force. Really, the experience of creativity is an entry into the mysterious. Technique, expertise, and knowledge are just tools. The key is to abandon oneself to the energy that fuels the birth of all things. This energy has no form or structure, yet all the forms and structures come out of it. It makes no difference what particular form your creativity takes. It can be painting or singing, planting a garden, or making a meal. The important thing is to be open. I think that's what it said. Or, the important thing is to be open to what wants to be expressed through you. Remember that we don't possess our creations. They do not belong to us. True creativity arises from a union with the divine, with the mystical and the unknowable. Then it is both a joy for the creator and a blessing to others. Again, when we step outside of the pentacle, materialistic, prescribed standard notion, there is no drive for approval or monetization of the value of our art. So creativity just flows through us. And right now, as the external world has sort of come to very much of a standstill for all of us, whether it be as a result of further pandemic-related government interventions on our freedoms, or a lack of work in the conventional sense of society. We are being given this opportunity of stillness all over again, and it's like, what are we going to do with that? Are we actually making the most of that freedom to create? Creativity is the quality that you bring to the activity that you are doing. It is an attitude, an inner approach, how you look at things. Not everybody can be a painter, and there's no need also. If everybody was a painter, the world would be very ugly. It would be difficult to live. And not everybody can be a dancer, and there is no need. But whatever anybody can do to be creative is. Whatsoever you do, if you do it joyfully, if you do it lovingly, if your act of doing is not purely economical, then it is creative, right? If you have something growing out of it within you, if it gives you growth, it is spiritual, it is creative, it is divine. And that is the thing to remember. Growth, spirituality, creativity, divinity, these are all the same things. You become more divine as you become more creative. All the religions of the world have said God is the creator. I don't know whether he is the creator or not, but one thing I know, the more creative you become, the more godly you become. When your creativity comes to a climax, when your whole life becomes creative, you live in God. So he must be the creator, because people who have been creative have been closest to him. Love what you do. Be meditative while you are doing it, whatsoever it is. And of course, let's step away from gender pronouns. God is not defined by a sex. So when I read he, you can take that however you want. A little bit of a hurdle there for us, though. And we will get into this through the Zen Osho deck when we move into the water energy, because the same card comes up in reverse. But here in this flow, from a air perspective, creativity gets hindered by the Seven of Swords. And what is the Seven of Swords? The Seven of Swords, seven is an arrival of spirituality in our human process. It can be a card of contemplation. That's the Seven of Pentacles, where we look at what we've accomplished and we weigh the pros and cons of it. The Seven of Cups is the multitude of choice and having the strength spiritually to be able to weed out the things that don't serve us of all those choices. The Seven of Wands is when we have integrated victory and then we step back out into the world again in order to face our detractors with authenticity of our spiritual being. And then the Seven of Swords, which is a bit more complex, because the Seven of Swords is a card of self-deception, but it's self-deception by lack of self-belief, in the sense that we don't feel that the authentic version of ourselves will please the prescribed standard societal dynamic, and so we have to sneak away. We don't feel that we can be honest and direct and clear in our approach. We have to find a backdoor approach to resolution and detachment. And so the process of creativity is what frees us from this, but this is ultimately what gets in our way. what we do see in the depiction in the traditional tarot is that he leaves 2 swords behind. So he's taking the 5 of swords, which is a bit of an ego victory. So not necessarily entirely beneficial to spiritual growth. And the 2 swords left behind are at least indecision left behind. So there's something positive in that. But we, through creativity, are going to be working on pushing ourselves into a more authentic expression of the inner and outer, you know, in other words, that they match and that we don't have to compromise on how we present ourselves, mostly because we come into balance with who we are and we no longer express ourselves in defensiveness or antagonism, and we don't need to present false aspects of ourselves, because when we live authentically, we can't have inauthentic interactions with other people. Water. What do we get for our water energies? So the realm of our emotions and our subconscious mind. Miracles. So this is a time of intense emotional upgrading. I think we've done a lot of work, and we are about to, in this Mars retrograde, but we also have Jupiter direct and Venus still in Leo, so these are the uplifting, positive sides of things. You know, the miracles that happen are transcending of this shit. Of course, you know, you have that air, the creativity, the flow there, the freedom, everything, this flows very, very easily, this reading, in this way. And we move into, the miracles of emotional transcendentalism. And how do we get there? Well, we get literally that 7 of Swords, which in the Osho deck is called politics, reversed. So when I read from the book, basically, let's take it as, what we are going to move into is the opposite. It's the freedom from the things that are described in there. But, just for the sake of pictorial reference, I shall keep the card upright so that you can see the references. Okay. Sorry, it gets a bit messy when you've got books and cards as bookmarks and things. So there we go. That's there. Do you recognize this man? All but the most innocent and sincere of us have a politician lurking somewhere in our minds. In fact, the mind is political. Its very nature is to plan and scheme and try to manipulate situations and people so that it can get what it wants. Here, the mind is represented by the snake, covered with clouds and speaking with a forked tongue. But the important thing to realize about this card is that both faces are false. The sweet, innocent, trust me face is a mask, and the evil, toxic, I'll have my way with you face is a mask too. Politicians don't have real faces. The whole game is a lie. Right. Like we needed that reminder. Take a good look at yourself to see if you have been playing this game. What you see might be painful, but not as painful as continuing to play. It doesn't serve anybody's interest in the end, least of all yours. Whatever you might achieve in this way will just turn to dust in your hands. Anybody who can be a good pretender, a hypocrite, will become your leader politically, will become your priest religiously. All that he needs is hypocrisy. All that he needs is cunningness. All that he needs is a facade to hide behind. Your politicians live double lives. Your priests live double lives. One from the front door, the other from the back door. Those front door smiles are just false. Those faces looking so innocent are just cultivated. If you want to see the reality of the politician, you will have to see him from the back door. There he is in his nudity, as he is, and so is the priest. These two kinds of cunning people have dominated humanity, and they found out very early on that if you want to dominate humanity, make it weak, make it feel guilty, make it feel unworthy. Destroy its dignity, take all glory away from it, humiliate it. And they have found such subtle ways of humiliation that they don't come in the picture at all. They leave it to you to humiliate yourself, to destroy yourself. They have taught you a kind of slow suicide. And that, my friends, is ending. It might be hard to see that right now with the enormous chaos that exists out there, but I promise you it is. Oh, we still got a few more of these to go. Oof. Better speed it up. Okay, well, finishing out this water energy with the beautiful revelation that in turning that politics upside down, moving into that authenticity, letting go of all of the false masks and being out of alignment with our true selves, we move into the star, which is the ultimate wish card. It's the ultimate fulfillment card. It is the card of balance. Again, justice and the star are sort of like, this is the terrestrial or even mental equivalent of the inspiration that comes from above, being in divine alignment, you know, using the subconscious emotional thought patterns in a healthy way to nourish the soil, and it flows a perpetual infinite wealth of everything that we've talked about: freedom, inspiration, creativity, all of it. You know, you can't really go wrong when you have the Five of Pentacles overturned at the beginning of a reading with a tower, and by, you know, the time we get into the end of the third element, we're already at the star, right? That's pretty beautiful. Okay, ending out, we go into fire. You know, I think that Leo season got us all fired up for wanting to move forward, and we had all this, you know, it's time for me to roar and declare myself in the open. And of course, you know, the retrograding planets like Mars and you know, we still haven't come out of Saturn retrograde. That happens at, well, it won't happen until our next reading, but it will happen then. That Saturn goes direct, and then eventually it will be Pluto in the not too distant future, and then by December we will move out of Capricorn into Aquarius. I mean, those major planets will, and it's the great unknown. It's very exciting because for us it's going to be unimaginably different from how we are experiencing things right now. So what does fire have for us? Of course, it's much more action-oriented. We got 3 cards from the Sacred Destiny Oracle. And of course, you know, having had that politics reversed, it makes sense. We go into healing chaos. So everything that we read up until now moves directly into these cards in flow, just in case that hasn't been clear so far. So healing chaos then in turn takes us into protection. And protection is not, as you can see in this card, it is not about restriction. It is not about cutting yourself off from source. It's about being source, right? Have you ever thought about that? That trees protect us? They protect us from a lot of things in this technological nightmare that we've created for ourselves, but they offer refuge in so many ways. They offer shade, they offer homes to many, perhaps not humans, but I mean, I guess there's a lot of human homes made of trees. And relaxation. So how do these meld? Healing, chaos, protection, and relaxation. Well, I guess it goes without saying that if you heal the chaos, you step away from the chaos. That's really all you can do to heal chaos, is to let it go out of your hands and refocus on your authenticity and on your creative drive, and that in turn gives way to accepting that you are protected by Mother Earth. This is our home. That's what Mother Earth is here to do, is to offer us protection. And when we are at one with everything in nature, that protection just naturally flows through us. That's why for those of us that live in more urban environments, it's really important to find nature, to ground yourself regularly as a reminder of that. It doesn't go away, you're always protected, but if you don't have a focus and a consciousness of that, then the lack of conscious awareness, well, need I say more? We started out there, remember. So how is that manifesting from the Osho perspective? Well, healing chaos is about, we got two cards, just so you know, about ending this. This is Two of Swords energy, so we talked about that in the Seven of Swords, leaving those two swords of indecision behind. That's the mental strife. That's not having the ability to know that one thing suits us better, like the Lovers, like the Lover's card, where it's like it's an informed choice of spirituality. You can't make the wrong choice because you follow what you love. When you're in this mode, you don't see that either is beneficial. So schizophrenia, the commentary from the oracle is, the person on this card brings a new twist to the old idea of getting stuck between a rock and a hard place. But we are in precisely this sort of situation when we get stuck in the indecisive and dualistic aspect of the mind. Should I let my arms go and fall head first, or let my legs go and fall feet first? Should I go here or there? Should I say yes or no? And whatever decision we make, we will always wonder if we should have decided the other way. The only way out of this dilemma is, unfortunately, to let go of both at once. That's faith, right? You can't work your way out of this one by solving it, making lists of pros and cons, or in any way working it out with your mind. Better to follow your heart if you can find it. If you can't find it, just jump. Your heart will start beating so fast that there will be no mistake about where it is. Man is split. Schizophrenia is a normal condition of man, at least now. And if you go by what they try to sell us on fucking television these days, I've been bombarded with commercials for schizophrenia injections. It's like, what the fuck world do we live in? Insane. Whatever. It may not have been so in the primitive world, but centuries of conditioning, civilization, culture, and religion have made man a crowd, divided, split, contradictory. But because this split is against his nature, deep down, somewhere hidden, the unity still survives. Because the soul of a man is one, all the conditionings at the most destroy the periphery of the man, but the center remains untouched. That's how man continues to live. But his life has become a hell. The whole effort of Zen is how to drop the schizophrenia, how to drop the split personality, how to drop the divided mind of man, how to become undivided, integrated, centered, crystallized. The way you are, you cannot say that you are. You don't have a being. You are a marketplace, many voices. If you want to say yes, immediately the no is there. You cannot even utter a simple word yes with totality. In this way, happiness is not possible. Unhappiness is a natural consequence of a split personality. So, we do get a clarifier for that, but in terms of healing chaos, protection, and relaxation, one could easily see that if you drop one of the swords, you're left with one sword of truth. And that is simply law of the universe, right? It's like we can't transcend the law of the universe, the law of oneness. That's just us. That's what we are. We're all one. So the clarifier for that is maturity, which is the 10 of Pentacles. And the message from Osho Zen is, this figure stands alone, silent, and yet alert. The inner being is filled with flowers that carry the quality of springtime and regenerate wherever he goes. This inner flowering and the wholeness that he feels affords the possibility of unlimited movement. He can move in any direction. Within and without, it makes no difference, as his joy and maturity cannot be diminished by externals. He has come to a time of centeredness and expansiveness. The white glow around the figure is his protection and his light. All of life's experiences have brought him to this time of perfection. When you draw this card, know well, this moment carries a gift. For hard work well done. Your base is solid now, and success and good fortune are yours, for they are the outcome of what has already been experienced within. The distinction between the grasses and the blossoms is the same as between you not knowing that you are Buddha and the moment you know that you are a Buddha. In fact, there is no way to be otherwise. Buddha is completely blossomed, fully open. His lotuses, his petals have come to completion. Certainly to be full of spring yourself is far more beautiful than the autumn dews falling on the lotus leaves. That is one of the most beautiful things to watch, when autumn dews fall on the lotus leaves and shine in the morning sun like real pearls. But of course it is a momentary experience. As the sun rises, the autumn dews start evaporating. This temporary beauty cannot be compared, certainly, with an eternal spring in your being. You look back as far as you can, and as it has always been there. You look forward as much as you can, and you will be surprised. It is your every being. Wherever you are, it will be there, and the flowers will continue to shower on you. This is spiritual spring. And again, can't make this shit up, but when we do all of that work, we get two Rider-Waite cards. So the Fool, that's that new cycle. I mean, you can jump from the 10 of Pentacles to the Fool. That's pretty amazing. But on top of that, not just the Fool, the Ace of Pentacles, that brand new cycle. This is the brand new opportunity coming in when we've gone through this work. So this is a hugely transformative week in terms of our self-acceptance and our ability to express authenticity and tap back into our creative flow and into freedom, fulfillment, healing chaos. It's all there. I have nothing more to add or to say. So, on that note, I wish you a fabulous week to come. Take advantage of these energies. They are a gift to all of us. I love you. I wish you a amazing journey, and I look forward to meeting with you again in another week. Namaste.